Brace yourselves, the Learning Blocks program is coming. Kia ora tātou, my name is Jaden Houghton and I'm one of the lecturers in Law 301 Land Law this year. In this video, I'm going to give you a quick orientation to the Learning Blocks program. I'll see you over on the Canvas course.
So here we are on Canvas. If we scroll down, we get to the Learning Blocks program. Now, you'll be aware from having been a law student for a few years that most of the full year courses have 8 tutorial rounds, and this is the same for land law. Now, if we scroll down this page, we will see mention of 8 tutorials. So here there is tutorial 1, tutorial 2, tutorial 3, tutorial 4, tutorial 5, tutorial 6, tutorial 7, and tutorial 8. So one way of reading this page is to see what is going to be covered in each tutorial round. It is a little bit more complicated than that though, because some of the tutorials are nestled in learning blocks. Indeed, 5 of the 8 tutorials are nestled in what we call learning blocks. Now, what is a learning block? Well, here's an example of one. A learning block is color-coded this sort of forest green, and it says learning block in the heading here. Okay. Another way to tell that this is a learning block is that there are 4 components to the block. First, a pre-tutorial activity, then a tutorial, followed by a post-tutorial quiz, and then a notes and exemplars page opens up. Okay, so a learning block has 4 components. So if we scroll back up and look down these one by one, we'll very quickly be able to tell which of these are learning blocks and which are not. Okay, so the first tutorial is not nestled within a learning block. Okay, there's just a tutorial. There's no pre-tutorial activity, no post-tutorial quiz. If we scroll down, learning block A. Yes, tutorial 2 is nestled within a learning block. There is a pre-tutorial activity, then you attend a tutorial, and then there is a post-tutorial quiz. Following that, a notes and exemplars page opens up. If we scroll down, we see that tutorial 3 is nestled within a learning block. There is a pre-tutorial activity, a tutorial, post-tutorial quiz, and then a notes and exemplars page. Okay, again, tutorial 4 is nestled within a learning block. Tutorial 5 is not. Tutorial 6 is nestled within a learning block. Tutorial 7 is nestled within a learning block. And finally, tutorial 8 is not nestled within a learning block. Okay, so that is how this page is to be read. And we work through these tutorials and learning blocks in order from top to bottom. Okay, so top to bottom, left to right. So here we are at the moment at the first tutorial. Okay, over the next fortnight you will be attending tutorial 1 and you click here for the preparation. Okay, that is very straightforward. At the same time, you need to be looking ahead because sometimes there's a slight overlap between these different blocks. So while you are attending tutorial 1 over this period here, you also need to complete the pre-tutorial activity for learning block A. Okay, so here we have a date range from 8 March to 22 March, and that is about the same as the date range here from 8 March to 19 March. Okay, so often the tutorial round from a previous block will overlap with the activity for the next block. Okay, so do look out for the dates. And there is a very simple summary of the dates in your course information document. Now, you'll see here in Learning Block A, and each of the learning blocks has the same structure, but there's a list of the lectures that will be tested in that learning block. Now, this doesn't mean that you need to know all of these lectures for the activity or for the tutorial, but at some point in the block, there will be some discussion of each of these lectures. If we want to find out what we need to know for activity A, we click on activity A. Okay, and we get more specific instructions for how to prepare for this activity. Now this activity is now open, so you can click into this activity and you can read these instructions, and you can even look at and complete your activity. If we have a look at the instructions, it says that first you should revise the material in these lectures. Now you will note that Easter has meant that the tutorial program has been brought forward 1 week compared to where it usually is. So for this first activity, um, you might not have completed some of these lectures until close to the due date for the activity. Okay, so you might actually end up completing this activity quite late, quite close to the deadline. And that is just an unfortunate um, implication of the weird dates that we have this year. Okay, but you certainly would have um, completed each of these lectures before the activity is due. So what you do is you click on the activity and tutorial problem. This is the same problem that will be discussed in both the activity and the tutorial. Now if we zoom in here, we see that um, it is an interests and priorities type question. Now what you should do after you have revised the relevant lectures is read the problem and try to understand what the problem's all about. It might be helpful if you actually make a little plan and think about what the issues are before you attempt the activity. Once you sort of understand what's going on in the problem, thirdly, you click Take the Survey, and this will start the activity. Now, there will be a timer in the activity. Just ignore the timer. You can spend as much time as you need until the deadline. Okay, and I believe, as long as you save the activity, you can enter and exit the activity so you can complete it in a few goes. I would just test that if I was you, so I would just enter a little bit of information, exit out, and then enter again into the activity just to check that the activity does retain the information you have inputted, because you don't want to get sort of near the end, exit out, and then everything has been cleared. And sometimes technology can do funny things. So I would be cautious about that. Okay, but once you have revised the lectures, you have downloaded the problem, you then take the survey and you start the activity. And the activity is designed to step you through the legal method process that you would work through if you were to answer this problem. And I'll show you what the activity looks like shortly. And as I say, the activity is already open for you, so you can have a look at it on your own computer. Once you have completed the activity, you click Submit down the bottom, and then that has disappeared. Okay, that is now submitted for marking. You cannot then reopen your activity. Now, if you have a look in the course information document, it tells you how the activities are marked. Essentially, if you complete the activity and you have made a good and honest attempt, you will get 1 mark, so you'll get 4 marks. However, if the activity is incomplete or the marker believes that you have not made a good and honest attempt, and there are various reasons why, perhaps if your answer um, you know, um, is complete in the sense that you have filled in every box, but actually it looks like you've just rushed it through and haven't properly engaged with the problem, then you will receive 0 marks. Okay, so you either receive 1 mark or you receive 0 marks. And the idea is that we are trying to encourage you to engage with the problem, give it a good go, and as long as you give it a good go, you'll get the mark. You'll be rewarded for giving it a good go. And the thinking behind it is that this is the same problem that you'll discuss in the tutorial. So by doing the pre-tutorial activity, by engaging in the problem, by giving it a good go and submitting it, you will get your 1%, but you would have also done the preparation for the tutorial. Okay, so there's no extra preparation required for the tutorial. That is your preparation. So the idea is that there will be minimal barriers for you then going to attend your tutorial, because you would have done all the prep that everyone else would have. You will understand the issues just the same. Um, and you will be able to understand what the tutor's talking about. And indeed, you will understand the sorts of questions that your peers are asking as well. And uh, hopefully, you'll be able to engage um, in the discussion, whether that is you talking or just listening but understanding what other people are saying. Okay, so the idea is that um, we are giving you a mark to prepare for the tutorial. Okay, please then go to the tutorial. Okay, you've done the prep. Now um, you can clarify um, bits that you didn't understand in the problem in the tutorial. That's what the tutorial's for. It's there to ensure that you do properly understand what's going on. Okay, right. So let's now scroll down. Of course, tutorials are currently on Zoom because we are um, above alert level 1. While they are on Zoom, you just click on the link that your tutor has sent you um, at the relevant tutorial time, and then you will be able to have a little Zoom tutorial session. This is not ideal, but this is the best that we can do while we are in lockdown. But once we're back in person, of course, you will attend your tutorial at the time, um, but in person. Now, there is a little bit of an issue there from a technical point of view, and that is that once you have submitted your activity for marking, Canvas locks it and it doesn't allow you to look at your activity again until it has been marked. So what we do is we fairly immediately go through and give everyone 0 marks for the activity. And then we unmute the marks. Okay, so everybody gets 0 marks. This allows you to then go back and access your activity during the tutorial. Okay, so um, there will be an announcement set out, but essentially soon after you submit your activity and the deadline has passed, everyone will be given 0 marks. Um, you will receive an announcement, I assume, that says you received 0 for the activity. Don't worry about that. Okay, the only reason we do that is so that we can allow you to access your activity again, so that when you are in the tutorial, you can go on Canvas and you can have a look at what you wrote for the activity. Okay, and you can follow along with what the tutor is saying. Then, it takes us a few days, perhaps a week to mark your activity. There is about 450 students in the class, so um, do give us a little bit of flexibility there, but we try to get it done within the week. Once we have marked your activity, we then send a further announcement and say the activities have now been marked and um, the grades have been changed on Canvas. Okay, and at that point, everybody that completed the activity and made a good and honest attempt will see that they received 1 mark for the activity. Okay, and usually that's most people in the class. Okay, so most people last year made a good and honest attempt and received 1 mark for every activity. Okay, so this is not meant to be scary. It's just meant to be um, ensuring that you do the work, that you give it a good go, so that you can attend your tutorial and not be completely lost, but actually understand the problem, understand what people are talking, and learn. It's a great learning opportunity. And this is one of the reasons why this whole Learning Blocks program has been developed, because we saw that students were saying in their feedback that they didn't find tutorials very useful. So we did some investigation into that. Um, and we found that there were various reasons why, but a big one was that students didn't find them very useful because um, first, they didn't do the required preparation for the tutorial, and so couldn't really keep up with what was being discussed. So in essence, the tutorial was like a wasted hour, um, people just sitting there for their attendance mark. That's not a great use of your time. The other reason is that for the people that did prepare, um, they would usually be in the minority. Okay, so there would usually be sort of 1 or 2 very eager students who prepared, and they wouldn't get the benefit of being able to discuss things with their peers because there would sort of be 2 people talking, and most everyone else would be silent. Okay, so this um, pre-tutorial activity is designed so that everybody has done the same preparation. Okay, and hopefully there is a better learning environment in the tutorial. Please give it a go. Please go along to the tutorial. Um, we really hope that it is useful, and the feedback from last year was highly positive. Um, Landlaw is now um, well above the university mean when it comes to our quarter ranking. Okay, students last year were very, very positive about the Learning Blocks program. Okay, so um, please jump in there and give it your best, because this is the way that you can really keep up to date with the course content, um, and uh, uh, and understand the lectures as you're working through the course. And it's a good way to check your understanding as well. Okay, so that's enough of the sales pitch for the pre-tutorial activity. If we go back, I want to now show you what the activity looks like. So if we click on activity A, go preview, this is what your activity looks like. Okay, so after you've revised the relevant lectures and then you've read the problem, you've understood the problem, then the activity is going to step you through how you would go about answering the problem. Okay, so first you need to fill in the material facts. Okay, so this is checking that you understand the problem. There's a few drop-down boxes here. Okay, you complete the relevant drop-down boxes. Once you understand the material facts, we get to the issue. Okay, so this is just following IRAC. Now, in this activity, you're actually given the issue, so you don't need to come up with the issue. But in future activities, you might be asked to write the issue. Okay, but here you are told the issue. Get to the relevant law, you then cite the relevant case, you fill in um, the appropriate um, gaps in the sentence. Uh, again here you provide the relevant authority. Here's more sentences to complete, and here are some true or false questions. Okay, now here there's mention of this case. Now this is a case that you will learn in I think lecture 5 or lecture 6. It's a very important case that is relevant to this problem. Okay, so here we are checking that you understand the case and you understand what was decided in the case. And this is really reminding you that when you get to your application, you need to be aware of the facts of the cases that we talk about in class, because often the problems that you need to answer in tests and exams are based on cases that we have talked about in class. And you need to be able to identify the similarity and um, and the differences between your problem and the case, um, a very similar, relevant case that you've learnt about in the lecture. Now, surprise, surprise, this case is similar in some ways to the problem before you. Okay, so here we're asking you to demonstrate that you understand what happened in that case. We move then to the application part. Okay, now this is an open-ended box. So what you need to do here is you need to think, okay, these are the material facts, these are the issues, and this is the relevant law. You need to now bear all of that in mind, and for this issue, apply the relevant law to the material facts. All right, so you type in your answer, blah, 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 and you'll see here, as you're typing in blah, 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 you are given a tally of the words that you have written in the box. Please keep to the word limits. Okay, you don't need to go beyond the word limits. Sometimes it's a max, sometimes it says sort of approx. Okay, if it says approx, please keep close to the approximate word limit. We are trying to encourage you to write concisely, okay, and there is no need for you to write more than the max. Okay, you want to keep your advice nice and concise, because in an exam situation, it is not realistic to write more than that. Okay, you need to work through the application um, efficiently. Okay, so you need to get to the point, um, and you need to, um, yeah, you need to do a good application um, quickly, essentially. So please keep under the maximum, and if it's an approx, please keep close to the approx. And we do see how many words you write, and if you are routinely going over the maximum or well beyond the approximate word limit, then that might be a reason um, to withhold the 1 mark. Okay, so please stick to the instructions so that we can be satisfied that you've made a good and honest attempt at the activity. Finally, we have here um, conclusions. You need to conclude. You conclude one way or the other. As you'll know, often with legal problems, um, it doesn't matter so much what you conclude, it's how you get there. Okay, it's how you reason through the problem. Okay, so as long as your conclusion follows what you have reasoned here and what you have reasoned is reasonable, then it is fine to conclude um, either way. That said, sometimes there is a very clear answer to the problem. So do make sure that your application is reasonable. Um, it is possible that there's really only one correct conclusion to come to. Okay, and I don't want to give you any ideas about which it is. Um, it's up to you to decide. Okay, so the point there is that sometimes It's fine to come to um, one or the other conclusion, and sometimes there is one correct conclusion. Okay, so you need to engage with the problem and you need to reason through the problem and then decide on your conclusion. Finally, it asks, on this basis, what are the likely remedies? Okay, and that is an open-ended box. Once you're finished, you then submit your quiz for marking. And as I say, once you've submitted your quiz, then you cannot access it again until we give everyone 0 marks and unmute the activity so that you can access it for your tutorial. Okay, so that is the activity. If we go back now to the main page, we'll see that after the activity, after the round has ended, you then attend your tutorial. Okay, and some of you will be in a week 1 tutorial, some of you will be in a week 2 tutorial. Attend the relevant tutorial group. In that tutorial, you will look at the same problem, okay, and you will be able to clarify bits that you didn't understand, and if everyone is sort of on the same page and understands the basics of the problem, then your tutor uh, might talk about some of the subtler aspects of the problem. Okay, so try to extend your thinking about it. Okay, but each tutor will read the room and cater to the students in the tutorial group. Also, I should say that the tutors this year are absolutely fabulous. They're really nice people. Okay, so they're not scary at all, and they all really want to help you. Okay, so um, I really suggest you go to the first couple of tutorials, see if you like them, okay, and then decide if you want to stick with tutorials or not. You will note here that the activities are worth 1% and the quizzes are worth 2%. Tutorial attendance is not marked. Okay, so in essence, um, the tutorials are not mandatory. Okay, but we are doing our best here to try to make tutorials as valuable as possible so that you want to attend them. Okay, and as I say, there are minimal barriers to attending because by virtue of completing the activity and getting your 1%, you have done the preparation for the tutorial. All you have to do at that point um, is click into the Zoom link at the relevant time or walk down to your tutorial group um, at the relevant time, okay? And bring along the problem and your activity answers. That's all you need to do, okay? After the tutorial round has ended, there will be a quiz. Now, usually that is sort of a couple days after the tutorial round has ended. Easter again has sort of screwed things up a little bit this year. And so for a couple of these, there is a gap between the tutorial round ending and the quiz. And that gap here is the mid-semester break. Okay, so we didn't want to require you to take a quiz during the mid-semester break. So what we've done, and hopefully you agree with this decision, is we have um, waited until after the mid-semester break to ask you to complete that quiz. Now the quizzes are um, they are based on the examinable content. So if we go back again, the quizzes can test anything in these lectures and they will often focus on what was discussed in the tutorial. That's another reason for you to attend the tutorial so you can make sure that you've covered all bases when it comes to the quiz. The quiz is an 8-question quiz, 8 multiple choice questions, and for each question you're given 4 possible answers and you are asked to select the best answer. Now the quiz is live from, for this one, it's 19 April at 12 noon, and then it's live until 21 April at 12 noon. Okay, so generally it's 48 hours, and within that 48-hour window, you have 20 minutes to complete the quiz. So once you click Start Quiz, your timer starts and you have 20 minutes to answer your 8 questions. Okay, and 20 divided by 8 is, I think, 2.5, so you get 2.5 minutes per question. Okay, that should be more than enough. Okay, but make sure you have prepared for the quiz before you open it. Okay, because once that timer starts, you have 20 minutes before it closes. Please don't start it within 20 minutes before the quiz ends, because we don't actually know if you will be cut off at 12 noon, or if you will, if your particular quiz will carry over until the 20 minutes has finished. Okay, if you run that risk and it cuts off with less than 20 minutes, then that is on you. Okay, so you are advised now to make sure you start the quiz at least 20 minutes before the quiz closes. We really recommend that you take the quiz on a reliable internet connection. When we're back on campus, we suggest that you use a university computer or a university internet because it's pretty stable. Um, but again, it is up to you where you want to take the quiz, and it's up to you where physically you take it. Okay, so you have 48 hours to decide where you want to take it and when within those 48 hours or however long the quiz is live to take the quiz. Now, the quiz has 8 multi-choice questions, but this doesn't mean that every student is going to receive the same 8 multi-choice questions. In fact, the questions are drawn from a bank of many more questions. Okay, so what that means is there's a bank of up to 30 questions, which the lecturers have decided are of similar difficulty, judging or based on our experience of what students have found difficult in previous years. And you will receive 8 questions from that bank of up to 30 questions. Okay, so you might receive, um, these 8, and another student will receive another set of 8, and another student will receive another set of 8, and so on and so forth. Okay, so this is to ensure that each student um, is, is 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 working on their own and is writing their own quiz. Okay, you'll see here that there is a practice question. Okay, and if you want to find out the answer to the practice question, you just keep scrolling along there and scroll over here, and the answer will be given. Okay, now you only get one attempt at the quiz, so once you have submitted it, that is your quiz completed. Okay, you cannot then reopen the quiz. That should all be now fairly straightforward, but if you have any questions, please jump on Piazza and we can answer your question there. Okay, I'm now going to go back and finally show you the notes and exemplars pages. So each of these learning blocks has a notes and exemplars page. Okay, and indeed tutorial round 5 also has a notes and exemplars page. It isn't in a learning block, but we just thought we would give you more notes just because we're trying to be generous, I guess. But you'll see here that each of the blocks also has a notes and exemplars page. Now, if we have a look at this one, for example, once you've completed your activity, then attended your tutorial and completed your quiz, the Notes and Exemplars page will become available. Okay, so soon after the quiz is closed, that Notes and Exemplars page will come available. If we click in there, you'll see that the Notes and Exemplars page um, gives you lots of resources that will help you um, clarify your understanding of the topic or extend yourself in order to master the topic for the exam. So often there are practice quizzes, but most importantly, there are problems, worked through problems. So if we have a look here, here is a past exam problem. Okay, you can download this, but there it is there. Okay, it's a problem. In this problem, you are asked to advise your client who owns a riverbed at the points where a jetty structure intersects with it, and whether the piles and pontoons of the jetty structure are fixtures or chattels. What we suggest you do is have a look at the problem, read it as if you are in an exam situation, and make a plan um, that sets out the issues and the relevant law and how you would go about answering this problem. Now, in most law courses, you were told to do this. You were told to look at past problems, okay, and practice your skills. But the problem is that you're not told if your plan is right or wrong. Okay, you can't really go to the lecturer and get them to check each of your plans. So what happens is that students tend not to do practice questions, which is unfortunate. In this course, what we've done in these notes and exemplars pages is we've given you problems, we're asking you to give the problems a go, and then we have uploaded videos which step you through the problems. Okay, so as if you are going to the lecturer's office hour and they are showing you how they would go about answering the problem. So you'll see here that this is me with the problem in front of me, and I am talking you through the problem and how I would go about planning an answer to the problem and how I would go about answering it. Okay, so if we go along, we'll see that I'm writing here on the map. Try to get to there's not much in this one. There's not much being written. But if we go to another one, here we see there's another problem, problem B. You download the problem. You then go to the video. This is me planning an answer. And here's another one of ingredients of an answer. Okay, so the planning an answer video is like me showing you how I would go about planning an answer to this if I was in an exam situation. Okay, so if we go along, you'll see that I'm literally writing a plan to the problem. Okay, and I'm doing this in real time. So you can follow along my thinking process as I'm writing this plan. And then this one has an ingredients of an answer video as well. And this is where um, I talk about how I would turn this plan into an answer in the exam. Okay, so the first video, if there are two, is usually a planning and answer video where I write a plan. And the second one is where I really go into the issues. Okay, and I explain the law and I explain how I would apply that law to the facts. Okay, and as you see, some of these videos are, getting close to lecture length. Okay, so you're getting a lot of additional resources here, which you can use to clarify your understanding of course content and to extend um, your um, your grasp of the topic in order to master the topic for the exam. Now you'll see here with problem A, and I skipped over this, but sometimes we also give you exemplars. Okay, so for this problem A, which doesn't have a planning and answer video, but does have an ingredients of an answer video, there are also exemplars. So what we've done in a previous year is we've asked students to volunteer their scripts so that we can provide you with exemplars. So these exemplars are categorized according to grade. So here there are A scripts, here there are B scripts, C scripts, and D scripts. So here we are in the video for the A grade scripts. Now do check that the quality is the highest it can go so that you can read the text. Okay, but you'll see here that the scans are very good. Um, the issue is sometimes the student's handwriting, but that's really just a reality of what exam scripts look like. This is what we need to mark. So we're very used to this, but it might take you a little bit longer to get used to reading other students' handwriting. Um, but yeah, you'll see here that there are dozens and dozens and dozens of exemplars for you to have a look at. Now, in other law classes, you're often given one or two exemplars. Here, you are given dozens and dozens and dozens. And not just the A grade scripts either. You're given scripts in the B range, scripts in the C range, and even some fails. Okay, so hopefully you'll have a look at, say, the A's, and you'll be able to get a sense of why these are A's, okay? And you'll be particularly good at recognizing why they are A's if you have engaged with the problem, you've watched my planning and answer and or ingredients of an answer videos so that you really understand what's being assessed in the problem, and then you have a look at these exemplars and you'll be able to tell, okay, well, yeah, that student did do all of those things. Okay, yeah, they did this, they did that. Um, you should be able to see that the A's do a good number of the things that I've talked about in the plan. You'll see that the B's, do fewer of those things, or potentially, make some fundamental issue somewhere that detracts from their answer. And again, when you get to the C's and the D's, you should see that there is, the quality of the answer decreases as you go from the A's to the B's to the C's and to the D's. This is also about transparency. Okay, so a lot of students, feel a bit lost when it comes to law marking and how to improve their marks. So a lot of students get stuck in the B range and don't know how to um, get up to the A range. Well, this will hopefully demystify what an A answer looks like. Okay, you're not just being given, the very top answer that you might have been given, say, if you were in contract law or another course, but you're given a range of A's. And you should see that these students took many different approaches to get to their A. Okay, so they don't all look the same. Okay, and this will hopefully give you some encouragement that yeah, there isn't actually, that there isn't this um, this mystical, this magical thing that they are doing. What they are doing is they understand the law, they are identifying the issues, they are stating the relevant law very concisely, and they are working through their application for most of the answer. And they are doing so in a way that really gets to the nub of what the problem is about and the advice that the client is seeking. Okay, and you'll hopefully be able to pick this up by watching the planning and answer videos, the ingredients of an answer videos, and also by looking through lots of these exemplars. Okay, by looking through the A's, looking through the B's, um, and if you're curious, looking at the C's and D's as well. Hopefully you find this useful. Um, This is something we're very proud of. The land law course has received a lot of care and attention in the last few years, and we really do hope that you find the Learning Blocks program overall to be beneficial for your learning. I'm now going to jump back to the Canvas course page and I'll finish off my talk there. Okay, so that's about all I have to say in this orientation to the Learning Blocks video. Hopefully you found that interesting and useful. I have only shown you one activity, one quiz and one notes and exemplars page, but you will see that each learning block has each of those components. Okay, so if we go, for instance, here to the notes and exemplars page for learning block D, you will again see that there are practice quizzes, there are problems with planning an answer and ingredients of an answer, videos, here's another problem, again with videos and exemplars, and another problem with videos. Um, this one has 3, and exemplars, and so on and so forth. Okay, so there is so much useful material here that is designed to help you to clarify your understanding of the issues in the relevant lectures and to prepare for the exam. Again, this is all in response to feedback in previous years, um, particularly this idea that um, lecturers keep asking you to go away and do practice problems, but students find it futile because if they do a practice problem, they don't know where they can receive feedback and find out if they are on the right track. So um, this is designed to respond to that critique or that student complaint. Okay, you download the problem. You do the problem as lecturers have been telling you forever. Um, but then you watch the videos. Okay, so you get feedback. Okay, this is how I would go about planning the answer. How does your plan line up with the plan that I do here? Okay, and this is me talking through the issues. You can check, did you understand the issues as I understand them? You can clarify, you can check your understanding, and then you can reflect on your own plan. Okay, there's loads and loads and loads of problems and videos and exemplars here for you to um, absorb as you work through the course. Okay, so hopefully you find all of that very useful. Okay, so that's all I have to say in this video. Thanks for sticking with it. Um, if you have any questions, jump on Piazza and we'll be able to answer your questions there. Otherwise, I hope you attend your first tutorial. Uh, Best of luck with the first pre-tutorial activity, and make sure you go to that tutorial as well so that you can experience a tutorial where you've done all the preparation and everybody else has done the preparation, um, and hopefully you'll all be able to engage in the problem, and it should be a different experience to what you're used to in law tutorials. Okay, I look forward to seeing you later in the year. Ka kite.